All right, so originally I didn't want to talk about this because at first when I saw this, I was just like, it was a story that was like, who cares? Because at first it was just she, Simone Biles stepped down for mental health. Okay, I was like, all right. Saw some conservatives were whining about it, and I was just like, okay, whatever. Then the next day, I get my phone, I check my YouTube feed, and it's just crazy. It's just Welsh, Knowles, Ben, Amazing Lucas, Bosch, some black guy, Tim Pool, again, everybody's going off on the story. And I'm like, what? What happened? So I look into what happens, and I'm sitting here going, what the hell is going on with y'all? I see these freaking brain dead takes from these people who you can tell have never picked up a ball or played a fucking sport in their life. Because if anyone has ever actually have dealt with mental issues and have played sports, right? You can push through physical pain, right? I've played football. Okay, it's just like, for example, like you break your fingers a lot in football, right? What happens? Your finger gets stuck back. What can you do? It hurts like hell. You yell every curse word known to man and you keep going, right? But mental pain's a completely different thing, right? It's one of those things where you can think you might be in the mindset and go, I can do it, but then as soon as you start to do it, that's where you go, oh shit, something's wrong. That's when I saw that story, and I was like, okay, she had one of those moments. What's the problem? And there was all the takes on the right were going crazy, and I'm like, what is going on? And I'm listening to all these people on the right just talking like she's their slave, right? Because I'm like, this isn't some athlete who just got there for the first time and then just did this, because at least then the anger would be a little more understandable. Then when you look in, you see she's the greatest gymnast of basically all time and has constantly bring home the gold, and the one time something happens, that was like the right's becoming that abusive coach. You know, the one where it's like you're injured or something and you really can't keep going, and if you push any harder you could cause like serious permanent injury. Yeah, that's them right now. They're acting like this is a lazy person who hasn't done anything. This is someone who's proven themselves constantly. And I'm like, the right doesn't even care about this. They just want a culture warrior. They just want to be the culture warrior. They don't want to fight the culture on, things that actually matter. They don't want to actually preserve conservatism with actual cultural battles. They want to play this stupid ass game. And I dug through so many takes on the right, and they were essentially all bad. The only ones that were okay, Amazing Lucas, Dan Crenshaw, and Ben Shapiro, were the only ones that were reasonable. Because at least Ben was like, this happens, she has to back out, and then Ben goes on to criticize the media reaction. Because if you want to criticize the media reaction, saying it's the bravest thing in the world or whatever, that's fine. I got no problem if you go, that's hyperbolic, the media is being hyperbolic, fine, I got no problem with that. But the rest of the right seems to be attacking her, and that's where I go, why? Why are you attacking her? What the hell did she do? Except get you how many golds? I want to take a minute to respond to one of the most brain-dead takes I've seen so far, with like no self-awareness. Well, there was two, but I'm gonna mainly look at one. So I want to just look at one. I just want to check, because Tim had one of the stupidest takes I've seen, and I know in this I am in a way proving his point, going, why are you responding to somebody else's opinion? But see, here's the thing, he doesn't understand one thing in here. These people with these opinions that they're putting out are heavily prominent and influential voices on the right, and they influence which way the right goes. This is the guy that says create culture. Okay, we have clowns like Charlie Kirk saying some stupid shit, riling up the right, teach him some stupid shit, and someone wants to correct him, and he's like, no, don't do that. Why? So let me show you.
Or whatever. And so she's doing really, really well. But she flubbed a few moves, then because of her mental health, pulled out. That is an indication of the failure of our culture.
So, this is why this is stupid. if you want to say the media's reaction, wow, this is the bravest thing ever or whatever, is a failure of the... Fine, that's one thing. But the problem I'm having is everyone's attacking her. My problem is I don't see how this is a failure of culture when she's already proven herself to be the best. The very best. Like no one ever was. If anybody who knows someone who's like really athletic, right? If they say they have to stop, something is seriously wrong. Because most athletes, especially on a team, never want to walk away. They want to go until they collapse. Right? I've been there. I've been to the point of collapse. You want to go till you collapse. If you say, I have to stop, something is seriously wrong. She showed up, attempted. What she was doing is dangerous. She was losing control of herself in the air, felt like it, which is dangerous, and said, I'm not in the right headspace, something's wrong. And you go, I can't. It's not like she came with the intention to do that ahead of time. And that's not even get to all the mental trauma that happened to her beforehand. So we're not even going to get into that whole beast. Because you had clowns like fucking Matt Walsh saying, yeah, but she didn't say that, so we can't assume that, like, the molestation is the reason why she's in the wrong headspace. You are not her therapist, and she does not owe you an explanation of her mental state. You are not entitled to that. Anyway.
That you would have an Olympic athlete having those mental issues, like not getting... I mean, proper training isn't just your body, it's your mind and your body. And so a breakdown of an athlete is a failure across the board.
Right. I mean, I take...
The problem with this is, I've already said, this is not some mid-tier athlete, low-tier newbie. This is the best of all time in terms of gymnastics, which changes the context a bit. All right?
This as an indictment of the entire social strata that put her into that position, that puts us all into this position.
And then we celebrate it.
Right, you look at the response.
Now, see, this is why I said, okay, for some people, if you wanted to criticize the media for being this celebratory thing, fine. That is one thing. Okay. The problem is, again, these are attacks on her. Because his mindset was like, yeah, you've been through this mental, you've been through this mental, you do sexual abuse, and all this other stuff, the pressure of attack. But you need to shut up and perform for us. Because guess what? You know what wouldn't have been a story? You know what would have been a story? Wouldn't have been a story? If she had actually screwed up majorly because of her head state, tried to get messed up, fell, and seriously did like a career-ending injury. No story. Because that's how this works. You're a toy. They see her as a toy. You play with the toy until it breaks. Once the toy breaks, you throw it away. That's where a lot of this mindset is coming from. Right? And some of this mindset can drive you to killing yourself.
Response of the actual story here isn't Simone Biles. The actual story is that if you were a journalist in sports today and you said something that went against the grain and said that you disagreed with that decision or that you don't celebrate what happened, you would lose your job.
You know what I'm sick of?
You would lose your job in America today.
I'm sick of the hive mind, man. You know,
if you went against the hive, you're done.
Okay. So this is the funny part. So he says the left, the left is a hive mind. Really? Because anybody on the right who defended Simone Biles got fucking attacked, and everybody who attacked her got praised. The right is a hive mind too. That is my point. This is why I'm responding to what other influential people, I know he's the cultural right, not the political right. This is why I respond to this. Because as time went on, from 2016 to now, the right also became a hive mind. They became a complete hive mind. And you can see it with some commentators. Watch it. You see nobody. I'm going to just... Small tangent, real quick. You notice nobody on the right who likes to cover things that actually go on the right. No one brought up, for example, the Black Civil War going on in the Black conservative areas, right? Because they need ideological hegemony on the right. So the actual Black conservatives get thrown away, and they put up the tap dancers who sell out their own to appease the hive mind. Try being a Black conservative with a platform that comes out as very pro-Black, and watch what happens. do you think the right's going to be, interesting, I will consider that opinion, and then, go from there? Or do you think they will tear down and bury you? It's happened to multiple black conservatives, so you don't even... it's a rhetorical question. So I find it ironic of someone who's on the cultural right saying the left is the hive mind, while simultaneously saying the same thing everybody on the right's been saying. Interesting. Very interesting.
Charlie Kirk, he was recording his podcast, and he said that Simone Biles gave a gift or something to the Russians, something like that. And then I think
the Russians got the gold medal, I believe, right?
And then I see a bunch of these posts where everyone's like, Charlie's so dumb. Like Phil DeFranco comes out and like, Charlie's a dick. And I'm like, shut up, dude. Phil, listen, you don't know anything about Charlie, okay? He's a guy with an opinion. This is people with no opinions who don't actually care and have any thoughts of their own, wading into stupid drama. Let me tell you something.
Who doesn't care, have no thoughts of their own, simultaneously repeating everything the right basically says on almost everything. Funny how that works. Also, second of all, I like how he misrepresented and left out a lot of what Charlie Kirk said because these stupid lefties don't do a Google search. Didn't even look up what Charlie Kirk said. That was not the part that people had a problem with. People had a problem with was calling her a selfish sociopath. But I like her. Tim is either doing one of two things. He is either being an idiot and not researching while accusing other people to not research, or two, he's playing the dumb card. I think he's playing the dumb card. He did the same thing when Crowder went on a racist-ass rant. He tried to play the dumb card as well. Then he goes after Phil for Phil looking at it and going, Charlie Kirk's a dickhead. And Tim tries to go and defend his friend, going, you don't know anything about him. If some dude comes up to me and calls me a nigga, I don't give a crap what he does or if he's a great father at home. I don't care. Right? Like, that's such a dumb argument. You don't know who this person is, so you can't have an opinion on what they said. The fuck does that even mean? That's what I said. What is it? This is brain dead thinking. This kind of thinking is what changed the right into basically acting exactly like the tribal left. They're both just tribalists, brainless tribalists that have their talking heads and repeat what they say. And this is a perfect example of it.
If somebody wants to opine on Simone Biles, who is like the cream of the crop, the best of the best in the Olympics, and she bails out for mental health issues, and they have a negative view of that, I say, interesting. Am I going to make a video where I'm like, oh, that Charlie Kirk, who cares? Charlie Kirk's a commentator. Opining on opinions is the stupidest thing ever. But out of the woodwork comes every stupid person who's like, I've got nothing better to say, but then to just rag on a guy who had an opinion about a thing, which is totally irrelevant to the Olympics and the conversation.
Right,
the problem is, this is exactly what the conversation is. This is the problem. The reason is you opine on these people's opinions is because these people are influential. Tim himself has admitted this with AOC, so this is why this is stupid. So why opine on her opinions? Right? Because certain people say some stupid shit. Charlie Kirk says some stupid shit. The right listens to him, and then mimics what he says, and then creating this toxic culture. That's why you should go look at these people and question what they say. The right doesn't question what they say, just like the left doesn't question what their talking heads say. They just repeat it. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with right-wingers who just repeat shallow talking points, who don't know anything they're talking about because they listen to people like Tim and Matt Walsh and shit and just repeat what they say. So yes, if people on the right say some stupid shit, I think you should call them out and go, yo, this is not the way. We don't do this way. Stop it. Right? Trump veered Republicans left, and the actual Republicans said, hey, yo, he's veering left. Let's push him back right. But no, Trumpers came and just clapped and said, okay. So yeah, sometimes opining on opinions of influential people is important if those influential people are taking you the wrong direction. Right? And how this all wraps back to this, how this all comes full circle back to this, is this what I'm talking about, is because you have dumbasses that have even worse takes than this on her. You had like Jason Whitlock's clown ass, right, saying this was an angry black woman Olympics, referring to Gwen Berry, Sha'Carri Richardson, and Simone Biles, as this is this is the angry black woman Olympics, right? And the right piles on them like crazy. But then, what was her name? The soccer player, Megan Renault, kneels, and that is a. I'm just saying, I'm noticing a difference. So I just noticed someone like, Jason Whitlock. You had 4 people you had a problem with. Oh, we're just gonna ignore the white girl now. Same with that. They point out, laugh. But Simone Biles, right? Sha'Carri Richardson, Gwen Berry will be a story for weeks, and the right will be furious with them. White girl, they'll just be like, ha, idiot, moving on. And this is where it wraps back to this. When you have influencers who have these sort of biases, they're kind of implanting that in their audience. And that's basically my problem with this whole thing. Is not only you're treating her like she's just your tool, that as soon as they break, you throw it in the fucking trash. But on top of that, I'm noticing the right seems to treat certain athletes a little different than other ones. Some intentionally, and some because they're just following what higher influencers are telling them to do. And this is my problem. Anyway, I think I made my point. Just gonna stop here. You get it.